The 2024 NFL Draft is very weak and extremely thin at the tight end position. There are a couple of players up at the top of the boards that are pretty consensus, and then there's a significant drop-off in terms of talent at the position. Over the past few seasons, the Colorado State Rams have become an interesting university in producing tight ends. We saw Trey McBride get selected by Arizona, and he is now a top 10 tight end in football. And this year, they have yet another guy. Dallin Holker is a guy who has really stood out to me as one of the best tight ends in the class. It is a guy who I think could be very impactful at the NFL level. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment and let me know which players you guys want to see next. We just hit 1,600 subscribers last week, so I want to give a huge thank you to all of you that have joined the community. And without further ado, let's get into it. Holker started his collegiate career at BYU. Unfortunately, he wasn't really utilized particularly well in their offense, as he only had 500 yards in 3 seasons. He decided to transfer to Fort Collins last offseason and had a career year. Holker had 64 receptions for 767 yards and 6 touchdowns on the year for the Rams, and he has started to become a player who many think could be one of the biggest sleepers at the tight end position in this class. Holker has phenomenal size at the position. He is 6'5", 235 pounds, and he possesses what you look for in terms of size at the position. He is big, he is strong, and I love his frame, especially as a receiver, and I think it makes him one of the more intriguing tight end prospects. While his weight on paper may look smaller, and he may not be an inline tight end, I still really like his upside. Holker in 2023 really showed how dynamic he can be as a receiver. He had excellent hands and did a really good job of coming back to the football, and he caught the ball with his hands and not his body. There were some incredible over-the-shoulder grabs that he had on the run where he made some really nice plays. He ran an extensive route tree at CSU, and he showed a lot of really nice tools as a receiving weapon. I'm really intrigued by that. He showed some solid upside as a blocking tight end as well. He has a strong anchor, he gets the right angles, and he helps land some strong blocks in both the run game as well as extra pass protection. I love the fact that he has both receiving and blocking upside at the tight end position. I think he's got a lot of the tools in terms of his play style that is what teams are looking for in a modern tight end. There are a couple of areas with Holker that I am a bit concerned about. For one, it has to be his lack of production. Outside of the 2023 season, we really haven't seen much consistent production from Holker. He had an awesome season for Colorado State, but that isn't much tape to go off of, so that is something that I am a bit worried about. Holker also doesn't have elite speed at the position. He is a bigger player, and he runs with a lot of power, but he isn't a guy who is going to challenge you deep down the field with blazing speed. His speed isn't by any means poor, but it isn't elite either. I still think he's going to be a good player, but I wish his speed was a little bit faster. And lastly, Holker might be a little bit small to be an inline tight end. I mentioned it earlier, but at 235 pounds, it is a pretty small frame for the tight end position in line. I think there still is a place for him in the NFL, and he has some really nice upside, but to be in line as a main blocker, he may struggle a little bit. I really like Dallin Holker. We often overlook smaller conference players, but Holker is like that. I think he has really high upside, and he is my number 3 tight end in the 2024 NFL Draft. I like him a lot. I think his abilities as a blocker, as well as his abilities as a receiver, are really intriguing to me. He is my number 109 player in the draft class. Holker is a guy who I think could play in really any scheme. He has the blocking ability to play in a run-heavy scheme. He has the receiving ability to be used in a Travis Kelce sort of way. Similar to how Trey McBride was, I could see him being a rotational guy for a year or two, but with his blocking upside and his receiving ability, I think he could be a very versatile piece at the NFL level. If you guys remember, McBride sat for a couple of years behind Zach Ertz, and unfortunately, it did make him look like it could have been a bad pick, but once he finally got the reps, he showed that he is a really talented player. I think Dallin Holker could have a very similar situation happen to him. My comparison for Dallin Holker is TJ Hawkinson. Hockenson is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He is a really great receiving threat, as well as a solid blocker. Hockenson is a little bit bigger than Holker, but I think Holker may add on some weight at the NFL level, and I'm hoping he does so he can play in more of that inline role. I think he has a very similar skill set to Hawk, so that is my player comparison for him. Dallin Holker is a major sleeper. He is a guy who I think has a lot of upside, and he's got a lot of nice potential. I think he's going to be a good player at the NFL level. I think he's going to test out pretty well in terms of athletically and size-wise, and I think Dallin Holker will be picked between rounds 3 and 5 in the 2024 NFL Draft.